All right, what's going on, my YouTube friends? I got a little upgrade video for you today. This is the B Explorer bike from Be Cool Bikes. If you haven't seen my overview video on this bike, go check that out. I'll link it below. Go over everything in detail, performance, and all the pieces and parts and everything for you. But today I want to show you a couple upgrades I did to it. I've done several videos on this bike, and a couple things that I think I keep pointing out are that the rear suspension is kind of stiff, and that the handlebars, I wish they were a little higher, a little wider. So I got some questions in the comments section about, how high could you raise the handlebars? Is there enough slack right here with the wires that you can put taller handlebars on? And I just decided to go ahead and try it all. So we made those upgrades to the bike. I changed out the handlebar stem, I changed out the actual handlebars, and I changed the rear shock. So I'm going to show you all that stuff up close, and just so you know, it'll all be linked below. So if you want to get any of the same stuff, you can. It's all linked in the description. But let me show you exactly what I did. All right, so what I did up here at the handlebars was 3 different things, actually. The first thing I did was I changed the handlebar to this. This is the old one. The new one I've got on there is a full 3 inches wider, and I like that a lot better. So that was change number 1. Set that down. Change number 2 was I took out this little piece that, kind of juts forward. This is what was on there originally. So it stretched your handlebars way out there. So I bought a new one of those stem clamp things, whatever you're going to call it. Again, I'm not a technical expert on this stuff, but I got a new one of those, and that brought the handlebars back. This bar actually has a little bit of a bend in it, more so than the original one too. So it's wider, and then this brought it back a little bit. And then I also bought a stem riser right here and put that on. So it brought it up in the air like another 3 inches. And it really changed the ride position of this bike a lot. To me, it's much more comfortable. I like to be very upright when I ride. If you don't like to be upright, you're not gonna like this setup. I found the original setup had you leaning forward. It wasn't bad. It just was more than I wanted to. And so I made these changes and brought the handlebars, up a good bit and made them wider. I find it much more comfortable to ride. I can show you, the seating position difference, from old to new. I've got some clips of that so you can see how much it changed. And then as far as the slack in the handlebar wiring here, there was plenty. I mean, it went up a full 3 inches in height, and there was still plenty of slack here to, you can still turn just fine. There's no issues there. You've got enough wire here to really make some drastic changes on the handlebars. So again, all linked below, but it brought it up nice and tall. You sit nice and tall in it now. I like that a lot. Much better. Love the ride position now. Now the other change I made was to the rear suspension. And this bike is it's a really good bang for your buck bike. I mean, for the price point, there's not many bikes that'll give you a rear suspension. So the fact that it has that is awesome. It was always just a little bit stiff, though, I felt, with the original shock in here. I weigh 175 pounds. I could spring it a little bit, but it just always felt really stiff. I wished it was softer to just soak up the bumps a little bit better. And I've got the rear, this is the original right here, this K-Speed SP Storm shock, which, I twisted it around. It didn't feel like it really had any adjustment in it. I could never really get it any softer. So we went with a new one. And when you replace these, you're supposed to take, I think, the measurement from this eyelet to this one, and it's 7 inches on this thing. And I could not find a shock that was 7 inches from eye to eye. They had 7.5 and 6.5. So, I just picked one. I went with 6.5. So I put a shorter shock in here. This is 6.5 instead of 7, but it works. This piece just pivots right here on this pivot point, and so I guess it's just a 1/2 inch down lower, but it still springs just fine. It's a lot softer, and it's got adjustment in it. You can make it stiffer, and it's got the the rebound adjustment knob right in there. So I'm way more pleased with this shock. It's a lot softer. When you go off a curb or you hit bumps, tearing through a wide open field and you got those little grassy bumps, this thing just eats them up. It's so much softer and so much nicer. So it was a good upgrade. This shock was only like $50, I think. The process of changing it out was really easy. You take out this bolt and you take out this bolt, and the old shock pops right out. and the new one pops right in. They give you, when you order the new one, you get these little bushings with it, right? So I just use one of these, right? So you got your shock here, and then these. You got to get these spacers cut to the correct length. So they give you 2 of these, and then you just cut it to the right length and pop them in there. So it was 2 cuts with the hacksaw. The bottom fit in there perfectly. I didn't have to do anything. It just fit right in, bolt right in. And then I made the 2 hacksaw cuts to get those in there and done. I mean, it was a really quick process. I'm really digging these changes on this thing. I'm liking this bike more and more every day, the more changes I make to it. So between the handlebars and the seating position and now the squishiness of the ride, this one's climbing my list on bikes I like. Now, I know some of you have bought the Be Cool bike because you've emailed me about it and said you were getting it and it was on the way. So put in the comments, how are you liking it? How did you like the rear suspension? Was it soft enough for you? Did you make any changes to it? I mean, you can put suggestions in the comments for people as well. I've linked everything below so you can see what I did, but you can come up with your own variations. Maybe you don't want to use this extender, or maybe you want to leave that other piece on so let the handlebars stick out further, but whatever. I'm a big fan of people customizing the bike to their liking. I mean, you get these bikes, they're set up one size fits all, and I like to fine tune them so that I'm in extreme comfort when I'm riding. Now I'm trying to think in my head if there's any issues I ran into. Okay, a couple things. So the wiring, they've got these little wire wrap things on here. I did have to release these wraps to get the slack. So this right here is your brake line, and I released that from this wire wrap just so it had plenty of slack, and it's fine now. So that was one thing. I did release that to get everything to fit on there. What else? Okay, so when you put on this stem extender thing, I did not have to add any extra spacers or anything in there. It all fit, it lined up pretty much perfectly. I reused this cap right here. This is the original cap. Not the one that came with this, is it Lurway, I think it says on it? Yeah, it wasn't the one that they sent me. I reused the original one, and then I think this thing was a different size than the original. But everything lined up perfectly. I didn't have to use any additional spacers, but you can buy these extra spacers. I bought a set of them. I'll link them. What else? When I did put the shock on, it does have a lot more travel on it than the original one. So an issue I ran into, you can see my mark right here. See that mark? That is where, as this suspension springs, right, it was hitting the seat post clamp. Because I had it spun around. This was in the back, and this was actually coming up and hitting it. So I just spun it around so it clamps the other way, and now it clears. Other than that, it's been working fine. I am absolutely 100% not a suspension expert, so all I can tell you is, yeah, I did buy a different size than what was on there, but it seems to work, and I like it better. So there you go. I hope you found some of this rambling helpful, and let me know if you do have a Be Cool bike and what you think of it. And hopefully I'll be bringing you some more on this bike as I continue to customize it. I mean, we still got to get some other things on here. I got to get, my bar and mirrors and that stuff going on the bike, but I think that's all I got for you today. So I appreciate everyone checking out these videos, and do me a favor, if you like this stuff, hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to get to the 20K mark, hopefully soon. If I do make it there, I think I might do a little kind of like live stream event thing. So help me out, smash that subscribe button. And that's all for today. So thank you guys so much, and girls, so much for watching.